Hey everybody, Dog8798 here. This is my salute of one of my all-time favorite musical genres. That's rock and roll. Been meaning to talk about music for a long time now, but I kept putting it off, putting it on, then putting it off and putting it on because I wanted to upload photos of my favorite rock stars or rock musicians, but I really didn't feel like doing that. So I'm just gonna do a salute of rock and roll here as an introduction to other videos on this topic. Then videos like my favorite rock stars, which is when I will show pictures of my favorite rock stars. But right now I'm just gonna just start talking about rock and roll for a minute before I start off with rock and roll. Before I start off this video, rock and roll, pop, and hip hop are pretty much my favorite musical genres. I also enjoy country, um, gospel, disco, and funk, but and jazz. But I really don't care much for them. But I do like them and respect what they've done for the other musical genres I just named. But these are my top three. I got into, of course, rock and roll in the mid '90s. In the mid '90s, with a band called Queen. Rock and roll has been part of my childhood and whole life. I've first I've heard rock and roll in video games, cartoons, movies, professional wrestling, hockey, and I'm just a huge fan of rock and roll. I love rock and roll. I love the fashion. I love what it represents, being a rebel, being free and youth and expressing yourself. That's what I love about rock and roll and I love to bop my head like a rock star, air guitar. I love to go hardcore, jump up and down in my my room. I one time rocked it out so hard I actually ended up hurting myself. But yeah, I love to rock it out, get crunk as they say. I love those. I've never been to one, but I love those awesome rock concerts. I love the mosh pits. It's just rock and roll is just awesome. Some of my favorite rock bands include Queen, Kiss, um, Rush, Skid Row, Poison, Rat, Motley Crue, Drowning Pool, Papa Roach, Nirvana, um, Saliva, the Ramones, and so many more rock bands. There's so many more rock bands I like. Of course, in my opinion, I thought when I listen to rock and roll now, I think rock and roll was at its best in my opinion in the 70s and 80s. That's when, in my opinion, when they had the best musicians, the best singers, and probably the best sound. And that's also when they were the most mainstream. They were still awesome in the 90s, and I still think they're pretty awesome today. But in the 90s and 2000s, this is when they started to go downhill a little. They became more, how do you say, underground, and that's what rock pretty much is now. And most people don't really listen to it anymore. It's mostly underground. You mostly hear rock and roll at hockey games, professional wrestling, UFC, and stuff like that, and of course video games and cartoons and movies. That's where you hear rock and roll now. Well, like I said, this video was an introduction to other rock and roll related videos. I'm gonna be doing album reviews, salutes of my favorite rock stars, my thoughts on certain rock stars, and the worst, and of course the worst or overrated rock musicians. All right, Doug 87 out. Prepare for the next video, which is hip hop right now. All right, Doug out.